The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Tucson Fire Department, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37136. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper is where you'll find dual air horns on the passenger and driver side. Along the face of the front bumper, you'll find your electronic siren, PA speaker, and mechanical siren. As we move up onto the front of the cover is where you'll find your unit identifier number 4. You also have 2 release mechanisms and 2 handles located here for gaining access into the front bumper extension area. As we move up onto the cab area on the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator light, and then just inside that location is the headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam is located on the inside. Directly above the headlight structure is your emergency warning lights forward facing. As we look to the Pierce logo, directly behind the Pierce logo is where you'll find the hood release for gaining access into the hood space. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. And as we move to the outer edge to the A-pillar is where you'll find your mirror. These house a flat mirror and also a convex mirror. As we move up to the brow, you'll find forward-facing floodlights. Also on the very top of the roof is your emergency warning lights, and then directly above that you'll find the go light, which is controlled from within inside the cab. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups, first starting with the front bumper extension, and then we'll go ahead and go inside the covered area of the bumper extension, dry deck material on the floor, and let's go to the Pierce logo. Directly behind is where you'll find the release mechanism for the hood. As we start on the passenger side of the vehicle, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. As we move to the right side in the image here, you'll find your recovery coolant tank. Also on the rear cab wall is where you'll find this placard indicating the operation of your cab lift to raise and to lower instructions. The remote is located here. The top is black and the base is yellow, and it's in a holder. As we move forward to that location, you'll find a red protected switch. This is either the option for lower or raise. And then as you move to the very rear wall, this is a push button here to release your door locks. As we move to the right, you'll find the power steering fluid. Let's take a look at the full view of the apparatus on the driver's side. We'll focus in on the cab section, starting with the front axle, where you'll find Alcoa wheels and a visual sight gauge in the center of the axle. As we move to that front bumper extension, emergency warning lights side facing. Easily accessible with a gloved hand, these are your door lock and latch. They're also keyed entry. As we move right next to those, you'll find the grab handles for gaining entry and exit out of the cab. You'll also find just above the axle a black camera. This is a side-facing camera and viewed on your MUX system. As we move down, you'll find the Shoreline Power Auto Eject and Indicator. As we move directly above this location, you'll find a side-facing cab scene light. And as we move to the rear of the cab, you'll find an emergency warning light upper zone. Let's move toward the body and identify a few items within this area. First, starting with the stabilizer pads. This is the storage location. As we move to the front axle area, you'll find a marker turn indicator light. There are also various emergency warning lights located on the lower and upper zone. As we move to the very top, you'll find your stabilizer cameras. They're directly over the stabilizers. And then as we move onto the top section, you'll find additional side-facing scene lights. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus, identify a few items within this area. On the outer edge, you have an arm marker light. Also, as we move just inside that location, you'll find an emergency warning, brake, turn, and reverse light. Those are clusters on the right and left side. Also, you have some rear scene lights. And then also just above that, emergency warning lights rear facing. As we move up onto the very top section, it's where you'll find an additional emergency warning light. There's a 360-degree emergency warning lights. And then as we move toward the center area, this is where you're going to find your traffic advisor. And then just over the traffic advisor is where you'll find the location of your backup camera. Let's take a look at the passenger side of the vehicle, and then we'll focus in on the cab. For the most part, it's the same configuration as you have on the driver's side. Same identifying lights on the passenger as you have on the driver's side. Let's go ahead and start now inside the cab area of the operator seat. We'll first start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, and just above that you'll find a combination door lock and latch, and then directly above that you'll find your electric window controls. We do have a grab handle located in the upper left-hand corner. Let's move down to the stepwell area. As we move into the step, you'll find your air shut-off valve and also air outlet, and also an air inlet. As we move to the base of the seat, you'll find your battery voltage charge indicator. And as we move to the yellow placard here fixed on the panel, this is an indication for your date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. This also houses your information regarding your VIN number, fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to the floor, you'll find a foot pedal for your air horn. And then as we move up to about the left knee of the operator, it's where you're going to find your engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port. Also right next to that is the tech module and display port. As we move down, we have some switches across the bottom. We have ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit. As we move to the dash cluster on the left, you'll find your 4-way flashers or hazard lights, start and ignition switch. Just inside that location, EM, which stands for emergency master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Also your headlight switch and panel switch, allowing you to brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. On the opposite side of the steering column, OK to engage your high idle indicator and switch. As we move to the gauges, you'll find your transmission, oil, depth level, and water temp on the left side of the cluster. On the right, you'll find front air, rear air, volts, and fuel on the right side of the cluster. Directly in the center, your tachometer and speedometer. You have diagnostic information which will display above and below the speedometer. Let's go ahead and take a look just to the right of the operator's position next. General view, we'll start first with the yellow diamond. This is the pull to apply your system parking brake. This sets the rear brakes. And as we move to the right, you'll find your command zone located here, which is your display screen. Tremendous amount of information involved in this. Please see your owner's manual for more information. Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout. Here's a close-up of that display showing the rear camera. And as we move to the switches, we have an aerial master, aerial PTO, stabilizer camera, stabilizer placement lights, and also a load manager. As we move down, you'll find your engine brakes on and off switch, settings for low, medium, and high, off-road traction, front wheel lock, and mirror heat. Moving further to the right, you'll find your electronic siren, perimeter lights, aerial indicator that is not stowed, and a siren brake for your EQ2B. Also below that, you're going to find a Go Light control module and some additional caution and warning information placards. Moving just to the right of this location, you'll find your mirror control for the right and left mirror. As we move forward to this location, you'll find climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. As we move overhead, I'd like to draw your attention to the yellow placard on the left. This is indicating the height of the vehicle, 11 feet 6 inches, length 42 feet 7 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 76,000 pounds. We also have some switches here for your emergency lights, emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Moving further to the right, you'll find additional scene lights. This is a high beam flash, opticom, front flood, driver's side scene, passenger side scene, and rear scene. Let's move just to the right where you'll find your traffic advisor control module. And then further to the right, you'll find your PA speaker and electronic siren control module. Let's move toward the front window area. This is where you'll find the Haas collision avoidance system. As we move to the rear section, you'll find this red light. If it's flashing, it's indicating do not move your apparatus when the light is on. You have a door or compartment open. Let's move just to the right of this location, general view. and then we'll move directly behind the driver's seat. Down at the very bottom section is where you'll find the manual handle for cab tilt. You'll also find the control module for your EQ2B, and also a audible speaker with volume control on the face for your backup camera system. General view here of the rear cab area, 2 forward-facing comfort seats, and also an EMS compartment in the center. As we move back to the exterior, this is that side-facing camera on the driver's side, and then also your shoreline power indicator, and then right next to that shoreline inlet, 20 amp. Your vehicle is also equipped with TAC4 suspension. Let's move down to the very bottom to the front axle, where you'll find Alcoa wheels and Goodyear tires, in addition with that visual sight gauge indicator in the very center. As we move toward the rear of the vehicle, in the rear section of the cab, first affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we move inside, you'll find 2 rear-facing seats which house SCBAs in them. As we move to the rear section, you'll find 2 fold-down seats, forward-facing, which are comfort seats. As we move overhead, you'll find push on and off white or red lens lights, and also your air conditioning system. As we move to the rear of the apparatus engine space, you'll find this access door. Once you gain access inside, this is for your daily checks for the oil and transmission dipsticks. Also, as we spin around and look to the rear cab wall, you'll find a roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelves, and LED lighting. Also inside that compartment is 12-volt access. This is the rear portion of the cab. You have an additional compartment. D-handle gains you access into this space. We're now into the body section. A few compartments. This is a through compartment. It's the very first compartment. On the vertical wall is where you'll find your battery charger, which is plugged into Shoreline Power. When Shoreline Power is plugged in, that will activate. You do have a pull-out tray with a tool board located on it. At the very top, this is directly over the stabilizer. This is the stabilizer camera, and also a compartment with a pan door. We do have an additional light here for stabilizer placement. Also, you'll find some warning placards here. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. Also, we have a crush injury warning hazard because of the movement of that stabilizer, and then also a danger placard indicating that the actual ladder is not insulated and there is electrocution hazard. We'll move through some of the body compartments next. You'll find here an adjustable shelf, LED lighting at the very bottom. We have a full pull-out tray. The release mechanism is located in the very center section of that tray. As we move to the next compartment, you'll find at the very top a tool board. We'll cover that next, but first let's start with a few of the compartments around the axle area. This is a DEF fill location, which is the blue cap. You'll also find a single SCBA bottle storage. The DEF tank happens to be 4.5 US gallons. As we move to the rear axle, you'll find a tandem rear axle. In between those two tandems, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 4 bottles. Currently displayed, there are 3, with also a retaining strap. As we lift up, it reveals the location for the 4th bottle in the very bottom section. As we move back up to the tool board, you have tool boards located here. There are 2 of them. D-handle gains you access. On the hinge side, there is a lock mechanism. You'll also find your ultra low sulfur diesel fill location. It's the silver cap, and then also an SCBA bottle storage location with retaining strap. Let's move to the next compartment back, where you'll find an adjustable shelf, and at the very bottom section a full pull-out tray. You'll also find just to the rear of the axle a receiver hitch. This is 9,000 pounds direct pull. Let's go ahead and move now to the tray area, fully extended. Once again, release mechanism located in the center. And now we'll move to the stabilizer. At the very top, we have a recessed LED light for stabilizer placement. And then also some warning placards here regarding crush hazard because of the movement of the stabilizers, the possibility of crush. Right next to that, we have a warning placard here regarding fall hazard. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. Same thing when climbing off. Here are compartments all open on the driver's side. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. Compartments are open here also, and we'll start on the left-hand side of the vehicle in this image. First, we'll start with the emergency warning lights, rear facing. As we move down, we do have some additional scene lights here. These are rear scene lights. They're recessed, and there is a switch down in the lower portion that will activate those. You'll also find in the pan door located here a remote for communication with the driver of the vehicle. This remote is activated by 1 stop, 2 go, 3 back up. You'll also find a emergency warning light, brake light, turn indicator, and backup light. Also, you'll find your stabilizer control panel located in the very top section, pressure indicating for your aerial inlet, also inclinometer left to right for the vehicle, also a warning placard here indicating pressure hazard, caps may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them, and then to the right the Pierce American Flag Eagle, this is the aerial inlet. Just to the right you'll find a warning placard here indicating direct pull on these rear attachment points. And then just below that you'll find the attachment points. This is also an attachment point on the left hand side, but there's also one on the right. At the very top section you'll find your backup camera, and then just underneath that your traffic advisor. As we move to the ladder storage location, we have ladder storage in addition with long-handled tool storage, 28-foot 2-section, 14-foot combo, and an 8-foot folding ladder. Onto the other side, 16-foot roof, 2 of those, 2-section 35, and a 10-foot folding. As we move just inside the pan door, this is where you'll find your aerial drain. It's a ball valve located here. I've got an additional picture of that in just a moment. These are all your aerial overrides. This is going to be for aerial or stabilizer selector switch, and then the various selector switches for each movement located inside that area. This is the ball valve here for your aerial drain. Just in front of that is the brass relief valve for your aerial inlet. Let's take a look at the bottom section of the door. This is your hydraulic diverter override controls, rear stabilizer controls, and front stabilizer controls. As we move to the right, we do have once again a danger placard indicating electrocution hazard. The equipment is not insulated. Also, once again, a fall indicating warning. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Additional stabilizer for short jacking. This is for aerial stabilizer hazards. We do have your, at the very top, high idle on and emergency hydraulic power, front stabilizer control, and rear stabilizer control. There are controls for the passenger side and also for the driver's side. As we move to the stabilizers on the passenger side, once again, a warning regarding riding on the vehicle. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Also, when climbing on and off, face it, and also a crush warning hazard. As we move to the next compartment, it mirrors the opposite side, adjustable shelf and a pull-out tray. Here's the tray in its open position now. As we move to the area within the axles or tandem axles, you'll find SCBA bottle storage to the rear of the axle. As we move up, additional wall here on the back for tool storage. As we move inside, you'll find when plugged into Shoreline power, this outlet becomes active, and you also have a 12-volt breaker bus panel located here and a warning placard indicating spare wiring behind the panel. Just to the rear of the axles where you'll find an additional storage compartment. Then we'll move down to the rear axle. I think I previously said Goodyear tires. These are Michelin tires. Additional storage location in between the two tandem axles, and then also SCBA bottle storage in front of the axle. Directly over the tandems, you'll find a pull-out and tilt downward tray. SCBA bottle storage for 2 SCBA bottles in addition with an oxygen bottle storage location. As we move in the front section of the axle, you'll find your diesel exhaust. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move forward to the next compartment forward, you'll find a pull-out and tilt downward tray in the upper portion. And then as we move down to the very bottom portion, you'll find an additional pull-out tray. Once again, LED lighting and also ventilation in each of those compartments. As we move directly over the stabilizer, you'll find your stabilizer camera, pan door just below this location. You'll also find, once again, some warning regarding crush injury hazard and also electrocution hazard and a endangered placard. Let's move just forward of the stabilizer to the through compartment. You can see here we have a tool board that's center mounted that pulls out on a tray. And then also above this compartment, you'll find a through compartment here. D-handle gains you access into this space. We do have a pull-out board located in the very bottom section, release mechanism located on the right and left. Additionally, we do have a fall hazard. Once again, when climbing on and off of the vehicle, always face the vehicle. We're now to the rear cab, where we have an additional compartment storage on the cab section. As we move inside to the cab area and the rear portion, once again affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, electric window control, door lock and latch, and grab handle. As we move inside, once again push on and off white or red lens lights. Directly in the center is your air conditioning unit, and then also you'll find 2 fold-down seats located on the rear cab wall. These are comfort seats. As we move to the forward section, you'll find 2 rear-facing seats which house SCBAs in them. As we move overhead, you'll find an additional 12-volt access fuse box. As we move once again to the front axle, Michelin tires, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge indicator in the front axle. We're now into the officer space. Let's start first with the door panel. Affixed to that panel are safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and also a grab handle. As we move inside, your vehicle is equipped with supplemental restraint system, airbags. Please be cautious when mounting anything within this area. You do have a glove box located in the very center portion in front of the officer seat, in addition with mechanical siren and air horn switches. General view here of the cab section in the officer area. We do have some additional switches here, siren brake, and then also a 12-volt USB MDT reset. It's a protected switch. To the rear of that is where you'll find your main unit radio. As we look overhead in the officer space, let's identify a few of the components within this area. First, starting on the outside or outboard area is your go light, controlled from within inside the cab. That's the light on top overhead of the officer. Firecom control module. As we move just to the left of this location, you'll find your main unit radio. And then let's move further to the left. This is where you'll find your federal signal, mechanical siren, and PA speaker system. Just underneath is the Firecom wireless base system. General view here, all compartments open on the passenger side. Let's go up onto the roof area, where you'll find in the dunnage area additional storage location. Aerial hydraulic fluid location and gauge. On the cab area, we have some warning placards indicating that this is a non-walking surface, and we have these warning placards just at the rear cab wall. Let's now go ahead and start with the aerial device itself. We'll start first at the pedestal area. The foot pedal box is the orange aerial deadman switch. This must be activated for aerial control or movement. As we move up to the pedestal itself, we'll cover a few items within this area. First, we'll start at the very front with your intercom system, volume control, listen and talk button. As we move to the aerial control panel, you'll find a remote control aerial activation, rung lights, tracking lights, and tip lights. You'll also find the high idle on and off, caution stabilizers are not fully extended indicator, an aerial not bedded red indicator, aerial rung alignment, waterway flow, also test indicator, emergency hydraulic power, and hydraulic system pressure gauge. As we move down, you'll find nozzle control for deploy and stow, also stream fog or straight, right, left, lower, and raise. Also ladder controls are located here, where you'll find extend, retract, right, left, and raise, lower. Let's move just to the pedestal cover, where you'll find some warning and danger placard information. I'd also like to point out these placards on the aerial cover, which is the 105 steer aerial ladder load chart for at least wind conditions of 50 miles an hour for waterway dry and waterway charged. You'll also find monitor nozzle positions located in the lower section, and then also some additional asterisk information out at the very bottom of this placard. As we move to the left, you'll find the 105 HDL ladder testing for NFPA 1911. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other items. At the base of the pedestal ladder is where you'll find an additional storage on the top of the diamond plate. Access this. There are 2 release mechanisms on the left and right. As we move to the ladder itself, it's a 4-section aerial, 105 feet. As we move to the outer edge of the base ladder, you'll find a 14-foot roof located here. As we move to the nozzle or end of the ladder section of your 105, you'll find the ability to either have the nozzle at the tip or restrict the nozzle to a lower portion. This is the device here. Please see the owner's manual for more information for its operation. Also stream control and also ladder movement control. We do have a passive intercom system, and as we move to the forward section, you'll see the nozzle monitor portion. Just an additional shot here from the forward position facing the rear portion of the aerial device. As we now move through the next set of images, these are attachment points, 6,000 pounds direct pull. As you move to the rear, the black one here indicating this is your towing for tow hooks for your vehicle. I would like to point out some safety items here. When you tilt your cab, make sure you have equal pressure under both cab cylinders. Place the bar into place and do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. The next set of images are going to be that of the chassis. These are including the TAC4 suspension and also engine pictures. As we move to the battery box area, just underneath the battery box is where you'll find the negative and positive terminals. These are for your connections. This will conclude the additional images of the chassis and engine area. Now a short video of your emergency warning lights on. Congratulations, Tucson Fire Department, Arizona, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37136. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.